Hi, my name is Jay Tizzle with the Lola and Mildred Furniture Company, and today I'm going to show you how to build this beautiful rustic Christmas tree base box. Stick around. Before I get started on the new box, I want to show you another box I built a few years ago. Although this box looks fantastic underneath the tree, you can see it looks untidy because I didn't fully stain the inside of the box. Furthermore, I waited until the box was fully assembled to stain the planks. This method resulted in a messy appearance. Finally, I made a huge mistake by making the box too tall. The bottom branches of the tree could not lay properly. To fix this problem, I elevated the height of the tree by attaching 4 2x4 blocks for the base of the tree to sit on. This solved my problem but gives me anxiety every time the dog is excited and wags her tail. It's time to change to my work gear. I designed a sweet hoodie with our company logo on it, and with the snap of a finger, I'm dressed and ready for work. But before I get started, I have to run to the store for a few supplies. This is a big part of the building process, and I don't think people generally factor in the time, effort, and energy needed prior to construction. First up is stain. As you can see, there are lots of colors to choose from. I am looking for a walnut stain. As you can see, there is classic, and for a little more money, premium. I opt for premium because it provides better coverage and requires less coats. To protect the wood, I am going to choose a clear gloss spray-on polyurethane. The spray is way more expensive than the standard jar, but because every piece of wood has 6 sides, I think it's worth the additional cost. I grabbed the last pre-stained wood conditioner in stock. In my opinion, blue shop towels are the best thing to apply stain with, and it's worth the money to purchase premium wiping cloths for stain removal. The store was out of wiping cloths, but luckily I have some at the shop. I just got a new belt sander and I'll be unboxing it later in the video. I'm only going to use a 50 grit belt for this project, but while I'm at the store, I'll pick up a variety. I'm going to pick up a pack of 120 grit sanding discs for the random orbital sander. My miter saw needs a new blade, so I'll be purchasing a 10-inch 60-tooth fine finish blade. I find 60-tooth blades are the sweet spot for cross-cutting wood. I am going to get a pack of screws. These are 2-inch T20 starhead screws. I always try to purchase starhead screws because they are superior to flat, Phillips, and square head. I'm going to grab a strip of oak 1/4-inch hobby board to use as a spacer between the planks. For the support posts, we're going to use a 2x2 piece of wood. We'll go the least expensive route and check out the construction grade lumber section. When dealing with construction grade lumber, the vetting process can be exhausting. But with patience and determination, we can usually find what we are looking for.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, honey. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Hey, I'm by Home Depot. I'm gonna stop by in a little bit to do some woodworking in the garage.
Okay, honey.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Come on over.
Bye.
Bye.
Here's an alphabetical list of almost everything else we used. Hopefully, we'll list or even link to most of the items below. Bar clamps, belt sander, brad point drill bit, drill and impact driver, dust collector, ear protection, easy clamps, Forstner bit, gloves, measuring tape, miter saw, paste wax, pencil, planer, pliers, random orbital sander, respirator, speed square, T20 star bit, tack cloth, and Velcro. As you see here, the tree base is a square of approximately 16 inches. I set the first segment of the tree in the stand and pulled down all of the branches into their appropriate positions. I measure up to the branches to acquire the maximum height of the box. Looks like I need to stay just under 12 inches. I take notes as I go because it is really easy to mistake measurements relying on memory. I have a large stack of pallet wood and I'll be using these boards for this project. I prefer working with dimensional lumber for numerous reasons, but for a rustic project like this, the character and authenticity of beat up pallet planks is unrivaled. I cheated a little bit and bought the planks from a local dealer on the Facebook marketplace. He broke down the pallets for me. If you prefer to stay away from pallet wood, I recommend using 1x4 lumber. Construction grade will be the least expensive, but common board quality is probably worth the extra money. I think select boards and hardwood boards are way too expensive for a project like this. I decided to cut the planks at 18 inches and use the 18-inch pieces for the sides. The boards are 40 inches long, so I'll have just a bit under 22 inches left due to blade curve. Blade curve is the thickness of the blade. I'll use these 22-inch planks for the front and back of the box. The planks are approximately 3.5 inches tall. I'll use 3 planks with spacers between them. The walls will be a little less than the maximum height of 12 inches. Each plank will be cut into 2 pieces. I'll need 12 total pieces for the project, 6 planks. I'll grab a 7th plank and make 2 extra pieces just in case I run into any problems. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to run the sides of our boards through the planer. These planks contain lots of fragments of nails that could damage the planer blades and the machine itself. Instead, we'll have to use the belt sander. Here I am opening a Metabo HPT belt sander. Immediately I can tell this belt sander is much heavier and more durable than the cheap belt sander I used in the past. I'll link to this product as well as most of the other products I've used in this project in the description. Once we get the belt on the sander, we'll want to tighten or loosen the belt sander tracking knob on the side of the roller. The proper amount of tension will keep the belt in the appropriate spot. Now that we have our sander set up, we'll want to clamp all of the boards together so we can sand all of the pieces simultaneously. The sander has a coarse 50 grit sanding belt that will aggressively shape the wood. We'll want a tight grip with both hands. We'll want to resist the urge to apply too much pressure. Our goal is to take off high spots and clean up the wood. Let's go ahead and push the fast forward button now. We're going to flip the board over and fast forward the rest of the sanding process. Next, we'll rotate the position of the clamps. Turn the board and sand the end grain too. We're going to finish the sanding process with a random orbital sander. I'm going to grab a 5-inch 120 grit disc. If you're ever not sure what size to use, go ahead and flip over the package. The package often includes a diagram to assist with selection. First, we'll sand the end grain, move the clamps, and sand the sides of the boards. We'll hold the sander with one hand and allow the machine to glide over the workpiece. I really enjoy sanding with an orbital sander. It has therapeutic qualities. The faces of the pallets do not have nails sticking out of them, so we can run them through the planer. We'll want to make sure the wood easily slides through the machine, so we'll wipe the planer down with paste wax using a blue shop towel. We'll want to arrange the boards from thickest to thinnest and run them through the planer in that order. This allows us to keep adjusting the planer in the same direction. It's essential to pair a dust collector with a planer. Shavings will be everywhere without something to collect them. Running the boards through the planer is simple. Adjust the height of the cutters, feed the planks, and let the machine do the work. Notice I'm wearing ear protection because the machine is extremely loud. We built a custom stand so the workbench could double as an outfeed table. Without an outfeed table, gravity will pull down on one side, lifting the other end up in the air, resulting in uneven planing. You can see how nice the planer cleans up the wood with just one pass. After each piece of wood passes through, simply lower the cutter by turning the handle clockwise and repeat the process as many times as you'd like. I usually like to plane both faces of each piece. Let's go ahead and hit that fast forward button again. The wood comes out of the planer reasonably smooth, but still could use a light sanding with the orbital sander. We are only doing one round with 120 grit. A more coarse grit is unnecessary since the wood has already been planed. We are going to mark the 40-inch boards at the 18-inch mark. This will give us roughly an 18-inch and a 22-inch piece. Here I am setting up my miter saw track. This track allows me to make precise and repeatable cuts. This is overkill for a rustic tree box project. Simply cutting on or even near the line would work just fine. I fired up the dust collector, butted the plank up to the stop block, and pulled the miter saw down to cut the wood. When using any form of stop block, we'll want to let the blade come to a complete stop before lifting up the miter saw to prevent kickback. We'll repeat the cut for the rest of the planks. Initially, we thought we would put a 1/2 inch gap between each plank. We put 2 1/4 inch pieces on top of each other to accomplish this. Later, we decided that a 1/4 inch gap would look better and adjusted the setup. The 3 planks with a 1/2 inch gap between each piece measure 11 1/2 inches. We'll go ahead and mark the 2x2 support post at 11 1/2 inches and cut 4 posts with the miter saw. Unfortunately, my camera malfunctioned due to operator error and we did not capture the footage. We did a test fit to see if the post is the proper size. The post fit just fine, but we didn't like the 1/2 inch gap between each plank. We'll need to reduce both gaps by 1/4 inch. We'll take a total of a 1/2 inch off of each post. We set up a stop block to take a 1/2 inch off each post and cut all 4 posts at the same time. We learned not to put my elbow between the camera and the scene. Before staining the wood, we wanted to set up the planks around the tree to make sure everything fit okay. We don't have enough spacers for all 4 sides, but everything looks like it is going to fit just fine. It's a great feeling when projects start to come together. We'll want to make a half hole so the plug from the tree has a clear path outside the box. We'll put a mark at the halfway point. We're going to use a Forstner bit because they drill super clean holes. Other options are a hole saw, spade bit, or even a large drill bit. The Forstner bit has a brad point that we can position in the center of a hole. Here we're making a mistake because the bit is certainly going to slip off the edge of one piece of wood. To fix the problem, we simply clamp 2 pieces of wood together, drilling out a half hole from each piece. I apologize for the drilling being nowhere near the center of the screen. Here we are quickly using 120 grit sanding discs to clean up the 2x2 post with the random orbital sander. Since I have 2 boards that are marked with half holes in them, I want to test out if it's worth it to sand beyond 120 grit. I've seen a lot of videos online that say if you're going to finish wood with polyurethane, it is a waste of time to sand beyond 120 grit because once you add polyurethane, the smoothness of the finished product will be equivalent. I am sanding the half-holed pieces with 220 grit so I can clearly identify the pieces later in the project. It's time to stain, so we're going to go ahead and wet a blue shop towel and wipe down the workstation. Also, with the snap of a finger, we'll change into our staining clothes. We'll gather up all of our planks. And we'll use a tack cloth to wipe all of our wood down. If you want to save some money, you can dampen a blue shop towel and get similar results. We're going to go ahead and put on plastic gloves to apply pre-stained wood conditioner with blue shop towels. Pre-stain helps the wood evenly accept the stain, preventing a blotchy finish. After applying wood conditioner, we'll want to wait 10 to 15 minutes and wipe off any excess with a rag. Here we are setting the planks on top of butcher block scraps. We'll make sure to set the top pieces off to the side since we'll be staining the top section a lighter color. We're going to shake up our stains and set them on the appropriate sections. We'll be staining the first row, second row, and support columns dark walnut. We'll be staining the top row early American. We're going to use a screwdriver to pop the lid of the jar off, dip a blue shop towel in, and apply the stain to the wood planks. Just like painting, the first coat is the most difficult to apply. Apply a liberal amount and be sure to wipe it off with a rag before it dries. If the stain is clumpy, it has been on the wood for too long. Repeat the same process with the secondary color. Don't let the stain sit on a piece for more than 15 minutes. It's amazing how much easier this second coat of stain goes on. I absolutely love how different sections of pallet wood accept the stain differently. Applying stain to wood is like hitting a baseball. You can have someone explain to you how to do it, but the only way to get good at it is to practice over and over and over again. We applied a third and final coat to all the planks. We didn't apply a third coat to the end grain because end grain darkens more than the rest of the board. The package says wait 1 hour between coats, but we like to double the recommended time, so we waited 2 hours between applying each coat of stain. It's time to snap out of my staining clothes. We've let the wood dry for a few days and now it's time to assemble the box. I'm going to wait until the project is complete to apply a polyurethane protectant. When choosing a screw size, we'll want to place the support post on top of a plank. Our goal is to screw halfway into the plank. Looks like a 2-inch screw is a perfect fit. I have a 2-inch pocket screw on hand. This screw would work just fine, but I prefer to save these screws for pocket holes. When I go to the store to get screws, I'll often take a perfect size screw with me to make sure I get the correct size. We're going to go ahead and assemble the front of the box first. We'll want to make sure the light stained plank goes on top and that the best looking side for each piece is face down. Off camera, we reduced the length of our spacers using the miter saw so they could fit between the support posts. We'll slide a spacer between each plank and use a level as a straight edge to square everything up. We are using 2 trigger clamps to hold the boards and spacers in place. We place both support posts on the wood in their appropriate places. We had an idea to use small magnets, thinking that it would be really cool if the front and sides attached magnetically. This idea didn't work out very well at all, and ultimately we ended up chiseling off the magnets. Before adding a clamp to the edge, we're adding a plank of wood to the opposite side so the project doesn't tip off of the edge. We're also adding a plank from the side of the box to get the spacing correct. We're going to clamp down the support posts, and we'll add more planks to the opposite side to prevent tipping. We'll want to add a second clamp so the lone clamp doesn't act as a pivot. We'll use a small brad point bit to drill a pilot hole between the 2 clamps. The drill bit isn't long enough to blow through the other side of the project, so we don't have to worry about that. And we'll use an impact with a T20 star bit to drive in the screws. We'll move a clamp to the edge of the post so the next hole is supported on both sides. Then we'll drill a pilot hole and drive a screw in. We'll move the clamps and repeat the process for the third and final plank. We'll rotate the workpiece and use the same technique to screw 1, 2, 3 planks in place. The front of the box is now complete. We'll release all of the clamps from the workpiece. The clamps were tightened down pretty good, so rather than wrestle with the wood, we'll use a set of locking pliers to remove the spacers. We'll repeat the process to make the rear wall of the box. We'll be sure to place the plank with the half hole on the bottom so the cord from the tree has an exit path. Here we are setting up the box. We don't have enough spacers to set both sides up properly, so we'll just use the spacers on the side we intend to screw in first. Unfortunately, the side with the spacers is blocked from the view of the camera. It would be really beneficial to have more than one camera while filming projects. We'll use 3 bar clamps to hold together one side of the box. This will give us a sturdy foundation so we can screw together the other side of the box. There's a slight problem because our drill is too big to make straight pilot holes. We should have drilled pilot holes before attaching the front and back planks. Rather than deconstruct the box, we'll simply drill at a slight angle. We'll have to remove the planks and spacers so we can clamp the bottom plank into place. We'll use 2 trigger clamps, making sure the clamps do not cover the spot we want to drill into. We'll also need to be mindful so we don't run into screws that are already in the support post connecting the front and back panels. We'll use the drill and go in at a slight angle to make pilot holes. Then we'll use an impact to drive the screws in. We'll drill pilot holes and drive screws in at all connection points. Remember to put our spacer between each plank. The 3 sides of the box are now complete. We used bar clamps and repeated the same process to attach the 4th and final side. Of course, the very last plank was a bit too long to fit, so we trimmed it down on the miter saw. A 4-sided box works great if the tree isn't already up. However, if the tree is set up before the box, Velcro allows us to slide the box into place and simply attach the 4th side. We got pre-cut Velcro squares, which should have got an entire roll, using as much Velcro as possible. The Velcro adequately holds the planks into place. If you have any cost-efficient ideas on how to attach the final side, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. We're using a tack cloth to wipe the box down prior to applying a sealant. We'll want to get as much debris as possible off of the workpiece. We made sure to wear a respirator and began to spray high gloss polyurethane on the upside down box. We're focusing on applying the polyurethane to the gaps between the planks. We're going to flip the box right side up, trying to touch as little of the area we already sprayed with polyurethane as possible. And we'll continue to evenly apply the first coat. We'll wait 2 hours and apply a second coat of polyurethane to the entire box. And that's it. The Rustic Christmas tree base box is complete. There's only one thing left to do. Put the tree in the box. Thanks for sticking around until the end of this video. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Joyous Kwanzaa, Yuletide greetings, Happy Holidays. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave a comment if possible. I don't know where we're at in the process, but eventually we'd like to sell some stuff on the internet. Check out below and see if there's a link to maybe a Facebook shop below. It's 4:52 in the morning and I've been awake for about an hour video editing, trying to video edit. This is what I've done every morning for the past month or so. Big thank you to my wife Jamie, who supports me in anything and everything I do.